camera speed. Now, here is a motion picture film.
Good evening and welcome to Real Movies. Tonight's film is the national movie of Somerset and comes from the most exciting director since Quentin Tarantino, the second in the Three Flavors Cornetto trilogy starring Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. Tonight's film is Hot Fuzz. Released in 2007, Hot Fuzz was directed by Edgar Wright, who co-wrote the script with Simon Pegg, the pair aiming to create a British entry into the global tradition of badass action cop films, so naturally, they set it in a village in the West Country. Hot Fuzz follows Sergeant Nicholas Angel, played by Pegg, who is transferred from the Met Police to Sandford in Gloucestershire simply because he's too good at his job. There he meets fellow officer Danny, played by Frost, and tries to settle into country life, chasing swans and youths in tracksuits stealing from the supermarket. But when a series of grisly deaths start to occur, Angel is convinced there's more to it. But it couldn't be murder, could it? Edgar Wright had made a name for himself with the sitcom Spaced and his feature debut Shaun of the Dead, both of which starred regular collaborators Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. Pegg and Wright had grown up in the West Country, Pegg in Gloucestershire and Wright in Somerset, so they hit on the idea of dumping all the genre cliches and balls-to-the-wall action of films like Point Break and Lethal Weapon in the sort of place they grew up, a small town or village in southwest England. Although narratively set in Gloucestershire, Hot Fuzz was filmed on location in Wells, Wright's hometown in Somerset, and although the team did their best to hide some of the more recognisable architecture of the smallest city in the UK, you can clearly see it's Wells. Pair that with some of the accents used throughout the film and the cliches that go with it, and you arrive at the fact that the general consensus amongst the British audience is that Hot Fuzz is a Somerset movie. So much so that in my first year of university, when those I was sharing halls with realised I was from Somerset, amongst the jokes about cider and farming were an abundance of Hot Fuzz references. It really does feel like Somerset's national movie. The cast of Hot Fuzz are terrific, a who's who of homegrown British acting talent, from James Bond himself, Timothy Dalton, to Percy the Park Keeper, Jim Broadbent. Simon Pegg holds the film together as the irascible yet instantly likeable super cop Nicholas Angel, whilst Nick Frost knocks his performance as the adorable Danny Butterman off the cricket pitch and into someone's scrumpy. Olivia Colman is great, Bill Bailey gets one of the best lines in the movie, and though David Bradley only has a few minutes on screen, he totally nails the thick as manure West Country accent that only the locals can understand. There's also brief appearances from Bill Nighy, Martin Freeman and Cate Blanchett, and given this was only Wright's second studio feature, it just goes to show how well regarded he and Pegg were by the British acting scene. We also get an excellent nod to a film that was hugely influential on Hot Fuzz, with the Wicker Man's Edward Woodward appearing as the Neighbourhood Watch representative. Look out for him, he may take you by surprise. Hot Fuzz is one of the best written, best edited and best directed British films that's been made since 2000. The script is tight and laugh-a-minute stuff, but it is so carefully crafted that it does benefit from repeat viewing, which works out well, given it is on TV in the UK all the time. Though I would say stringing the film out with ad breaks does not do Hot Fuzz any favours, killing the pace and making it less enjoyable. It's always on Netflix as well, and I'd recommend watching it there. The iconic signature editing from Edgar Wright, which would later be refined to perfection in Scott Pilgrim, really shows through in Hot Fuzz. It is clear Wright is directing as soon as the film starts. Although his smash-cut editing style had been seen in previous works, it really shines here given the intent was to homage the big action films of the 80s and 90s. The music choices and needle drops are spot on throughout, and the gunfight in the Wells town centre is joyous carnage, and when I visited the market in Wells last year, I spent the whole time geeking out about the fact that it was where the shootout in Hot Fuzz was filmed. It's difficult for me to be objective about this movie, given how much of a fan I am of Edgar Wright. He's something of a hero to me, going from Somerset to Hollywood on sheer talent, and his body of work encompasses some of my favourite films, not just the Cornetto trilogy, but Baby Driver, Tintin, and Scott Pilgrim vs. the World as well. So sit back, prepare to fire your gun up in the air and go, ah, and keep it cult. This is Hot Fuzz.